I mean, the whole idea of being a DJ is that you get to play all the songs that you like, right?
Hello, I am Kay Anderson, and you are listening to Lost Spaces, the podcast that mourns the death of queer nightlife. Every episode, I talk to a different person about a venue from their past, the memories that they created there, and the people that they used to know. Having been an in-demand DJ for the better part of the last 20 years, there were quite a few queer spaces that I could have talked about with DJ Dan Murphy. But we decided to go with the venue that gave him his big break all those years ago. And so we are headed back to the early 2000s to talk about ARC, the legendary superclub at the tip of Sydney's queer district, Oxford Street. At this time in his life, he had just returned from living in London, where he sold t-shirts and lollipops at Heaven nightclub, and moved to Sydney from his native Brisbane for adventure and purpose. We talk all about making queer friends as an adult. Dan remembers a time when you could go out clubbing every single night of the week, and I get to use the Australian phrase dud root, which excited me no end, but I didn't really seem to impress Dan that much. Right, let's have a listen. What was it like settling into Sydney? Like, did you have friends there, or were you starting from scratch?
Pretty much starting from scratch. My sister lives here, so Sydney's really funny with the north side of the harbour and the south side of the harbour, in that everyone on the north side stays there, even though it's a 15-minute drive without traffic, and everyone on the south side stays in our area. So my sister lives on the north side, and...
So you haven't seen her since 2003?
No, practically. I think she's still over there. I see her on Facebook, so I assume so. But we would catch up quite a bit, but we were kind of separated by the harbour. I drove down with a friend of mine who also wanted to move to Sydney, and so we kind of... He was in professional mode at the time, and I was going out all the time. So we'd catch up quite a bit, but other than that, kind of pretty much started fresh down here and made some of my best friends, who I'm still friends with now, at the first Queer Nation party that I went to down at Home nightclub. And yeah, met them on the dance floor, went back to their house after the party, and then, funnily enough, we all went to ARC after that.
And that was how easy it was?
Yes, yeah.
Can we quickly talk about like how hard it is to make friends when you're older?
Yeah. Well, tell me your experience, and I'll see if I can reflect on that.
I mean, I guess the whole thing is kind of marred by the pandemic and not having any recent experience of doing this. And I should also say that I've never been particularly good at making friends. But at least in the past, there were those types of situations where people were like, well, we're all going back to this person's house. And even though you're a random stranger, why don't you come? And then you get that opportunity to like talk to people and stuff. But I think as people get older, they're a bit like, well, why would we invite some random stranger?
Yes.
And like, why would I talk to you? I've got my friends here. Why would I bother? And so you just don't have those like little kind of opportunities for adventures with strangers and for that kind of magical thing to happen, because everyone's like, no, I've got washing to do in the morning and I really want to get home to bed. And I think there's a TV show that I want to watch before I fall asleep. And so, yeah, it's just all of these obstacles now.
Yeah, it's definitely true. In my 20s and, oh gosh, even into my 30s, the houses that I would end up at randomly before or after clubbing, and most of the times it was good, but sometimes you'd walk into a house and think, oh, this is a crime scene. This has either been a crime scene or is about to be a crime scene. And you'd have to kind of, if you were with a friend, you'd kind of give each other the eye of, we're getting out of here. And I haven't done that for a long time. I don't
Yeah.
know if I want to do it again though. I liked it at the time. I don't want to do it now.
Well, were you ever the host for those things? Because I always wonder about the mindset of a person that's like, yeah, sure, everyone come back to mine.
Yeah, one day at Manacle again, the after hours club, it was, I think I'd finished DJing. We were dancing around on the dance floor for a couple of hours until about lunchtime on a Monday. And because it was Monday afternoon, there was nothing else open. I'd kind of befriended every single person in the nightclub and had told a few of them, oh, come back to ours. We're just across the road. Cut to about an hour later, and the entire club was in our house. We had about 40 to 50 people in our house. And
In a two-bed, three-bed?
a two-bedroom house, and not a spacious two-bedroom house.
Okay.
And my flatmate and I, we gave each other the eye. He's like, Dan, you have to get rid of all these people. But there were people that we wanted to stay. Like we wanted about 4 of our friends to stay. But we had to get rid of this other 40 people. So we just literally went out there. And my flatmate at the time was quite blunt. And it's like, right, all over, time to go. Oh, got to go, everybody out. And everyone's like, oh, okay. And left. And then our friends kind of milled about, pretending to put their shoes on slowly, and ended up staying with us.
Did you do the thing beforehand, like, we're about to tell everyone to leave, but we don't mean you.
Yes.
You can stay, but just look as though you're leaving.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think the mindset is, shall we say, not 100% clear.
So not thinking too far into the future.
No.
I think I'd be too afraid to tell everyone to leave in case someone got violent. So I'd just be like, oh, just stay. Because, like, I'm one of these terrible people who is bad at leaving places as well, because I feel like I'm going to like create some kind of like situation by doing so, by saying like, well, it's time to go. So I'm probably just not the right person to ever throw my doors open and invite people in.
If that's your personality, they'd end up staying for 3 days. You'd end up cooking for them.
Oh gosh, that'd be awful. That'd be awful. But the extra layer on all of this is people who invite a bunch of strangers to their house and then go to bed.
Oh, okay. I haven't experienced that before.
Well, like what kind of person must you be?
Yeah, to just leave everybody in your house while you go off to sleep.
It's just so far beyond my realm of understanding. I just can't empathize or get behind those people.
No, me neither. I'm too much of a control freak. I'd need to see what everybody was touching in my house. I couldn't go to bed.
Exactly.
What was the question?
We were talking about, I remember making friends when you got to Sydney.
Yes. Yeah. And the difference in making friends when you're older. Wow. Do you think it is when you're in your 20s, you are, and especially moving to a new city, you're prepared to be friends with anybody that crosses your path?
Anyone.
Please like me.
Your standards are so low. Oh, so you think that you just become more discerning as you get older?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely have less patience for strangers that I meet in a club, for sure. I make up my mind a lot faster now, if that makes sense. So it's like if someone comes up and I'm not vibing them, it's, see you later. Whereas in the past, I would give them the benefit of the rest of the night and then probably a couple of years before going, oh, no, actually, I don't like that person, even though the red flag was there when I first met them.
Yeah, we'd be just about to exchange vows and then I'd be like, oh, hang on.
Actually.
You know, like, so now I'm just taking us all the way back to school. You know how many times when you were at school, you would hate someone when you first met them and that you just could not stand them. Mm-hmm. And then like 3 months later, you were best friends.
Yeah.
What if all of these people in the clubs that you're just like, no, I don't, you're annoying, are actually your like future best friends?
They're going to be best
friends. And you're
friends.
denying them that opportunity.
Well, I feel like I've got enough friends that if if I'm missing out on that particular friend, it's not leaving a gaping hole.
Maybe you've stumbled onto something though. Maybe like we are just more and more closed off as we get older, and that's why it's harder to make friends because we're not willing to put up with that bullshit.
Yeah. There are definitely people that I will meet out and about that I click with straight away and think, oh, yeah, I want you in my life more. You are really, really fun or funny, or there's just something about them. But I think in my 20s, I thought everybody was that. But now in my 40s, I realize, no, not everybody is that. There are only certain special people that are that.
And so what's changed? Like you're less desperate or you're...
I'm never less desperate.
You said it before.
I guess when you've got a circle of friends around you already, all the needs that each of those friends fulfill is already fulfilled. So anybody that comes along now is a bonus. Whereas when you move to a city and don't know anyone, you're trying to gather that crowd.
But it's not that neat. Like, so you've got a friend that meets every single one of your needs. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't, like, through all my friends, I'm not sitting here going, oh, I wish I had a friend that was XYZ. I don't know. I've got someone to call or someone to talk to if I have a problem or a question or I want to have fun or want to hang out. Like, I don't feel like there's something missing, if that makes sense.
So who's your friend to watch The Voice with?
Oh, who would I watch The Voice with? Gosh.
See, I don't think you do have this all stitched
You've already
up.
poked a hole in my theory. I don't...
You're going to need to get out there again, Dan. You need to make some new friends.
Now that this pandemic is... Oh, well, when the pandemic is over again, I'm just going to have a T-shirt that says, I need someone to watch The Voice with. So maybe I haven't explained it very well. I'm definitely open to new friends, but I don't feel there's something lacking amongst my friend group that I do have. I've got quite a diverse group of friends that ticks a lot of boxes.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely open to new people. Definitely still desperate.
But just not quite at the levels that you were in your 20s. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's tempered a little.
Okay, all right. We need to spend some time in ARC. So in your 20s, you were like gathering friends in Sydney. You were going out a lot. And one of the places that you were going out to a lot was ARC.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any interesting stories that you have about ARC that you want to share?
Oh, gosh. It was the club. It was Sydney's and the country's arguably biggest gay club. To me, it felt like Australia's version of Heaven nightclub. And I just remember I've met so many great people there. I've had so many fun nights there. I've got to work there and have so many satisfying...
Okay.
Yeah.
But who did you snog there?
Who did I snog? Okay, this is an interesting story. The Midnight Shift used to do a yearly staff drag show, and all the bar staff and DJs and stuff would dress up in drag and do a number, and I think it was a charity night. I'm not 100% sure on that, but we were definitely charity drag queens. We were not great. And then we'd all toddle up the road to ARC afterwards and spend all night dancing there. And the guys that I would attract in drag were very different to the guys that I would attract not in drag. And there was... I will preface this by I'd had a few drinks, so my memory is a little bit hazy, but it was also hazy on the night. I, funnily enough, was in the smoking alley having a gossip and chatting away with my friends, and this guy took a shine to me. And he was a bit weird, like red flags all over him.
But like what kind of, like why?
He was strange. There was something off about him. You know when someone comes up and starts talking to you and you just can't quite understand what they're saying? you know they're trying to communicate with you, but you're not sure what they're trying to communicate to you.
And so just to be clear, this is a story about someone you've snogged and you had no idea what he was going on about.
Yeah, well, look, I liked the attention. And hey, I was desperate. So I took him off to the toilet and we're enjoying ourselves in the bathrooms. And he is, he kept saying to me, I'm not gay. I was like, oh, me neither, dolls. It was just, guys that go after drag queens sometimes can be a bit kooky like that, where they don't think they're gay, but they want to have that experience.
It's such a weird thing to tell someone over and over when you're having sex with them, right?
I know.
Compels you?
He was, I don't know how to put this politely, going to town in my downstairs department. I'd lifted up my skirt so he could get in there. And then he just kept looking up to me, go, I'm not gay, I'm not gay. And I was like, oh, it kind of looks like you are, mate. Oh, that's okay, keep going.
Maybe it was his version of role play. Maybe there was something in it.
It was very strange. But all I kept thinking, and I think this was the thing with the red flags as well, when he came up to me and like showed an interest, I thought, oh, this is going to make a good story. Let's go through with this.
Oh, I've been there myself when it's like, yeah, everything about this is wrong. I should not do this, but I'm going to do it anyway because maybe I'll get to tell someone.
Exactly. But yeah, and we actually got I've been thrown out of the toilets there quite a lot of times. And we were thrown out. Well, I was in heels and a giant wig. So my giant wig was poking over the toilet door. Security threw us out. And there was another time, there were a couple of us in the bathroom together and pretty much naked at this stage. And the manager, who is, he's a straight guy. He's super calm, super chilled, super like nothing phases him. He's always really calm. He bangs on the door. He goes, come on, guys, get out of there. And I'm like, oh, my God, sorry. And he goes, oh, is that you, Dan? I went, yeah. And he goes, oh, no, you can finish up. And I was like, oh, no. So embarrassing. And I went out, apologised.
But you finished up, right?
Yeah, we kind of, kind of spoiled the moment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I was very apologetic, went outside and apologised profusely. And he's like, oh, I don't mind.
I've never had sex in the cubicle.
Oh, really?
I feel like this is something I need to remedy.
Is it something that you've wanted to do?
It's not something I've not wanted to do.
Okay.
I just never, I don't know. Why have I not?
So what happens if you're on the dance floor or if you're in a venue, how do you meet someone and hook up with them?
Well, yeah, it's been so long. I guess it would be like, you know, the eye contact thing. And then if it's on the dance floor, it's on the dance floor, although that's not my preference. And I'm really awful at talking in clubs. So
that would make it hard to say, oh, I've got to go to the loo. Do you want to come?
Is that what you would say?
Well, this is kind of ancient history as well, so I've got to go back through my memory banks. But yeah, it would always be on the dance floor, meeting somebody on the dance floor. Eye contact, a smile and a wink. If there's extended eye contact, then you can do a wink. It's so cheesy. But yeah, then a bit of chit chat. And if it's going well, then come into my office.
But okay, so there's the other thing about like after you've come, your outlook on life is quite different.
Oh, yeah.
But does it not ruin your evening? Because you're like, oh, now I want to go and have a nap.
Oh, no, I would never feel like a nap. It's always like, okay, that box is ticked. See you later. If they're fun, hang out with them for the rest of the night. If they're not fun, then back on the dance floor, find your friends and keep going. And then repeat.
And by if they're not fun, do you mean if they're a dud root?
Well, if they're, you know how you can be attracted to red flag people? If it's a red flag person, if they're boring or weird or something is a bit off, but the sexual chemistry is there, then you can get that side over and done with and then go, oh, actually, I don't actually want to relate to you one-on-one.
Please forget that we've ever spoken to each other.
Yeah.
Please don't ever speak to me again. And then avoiding eye contact for the rest of the night.
I know. And then having to move, like, making all your friends go downstairs and dance on that dance floor to avoid them. Oh my God, my 20s were so much fun.
Sounds magical. So setting up your DJ career, what did that entail? Like, what were the first steps? What were you doing?
The first steps were... so this is back in the days of CD. This is 2003. Back in the days of demo CDs burnt on those. Do you remember those golden TDK CDs that you used to burn music onto? No. They were like the CD de jour over here. Everyone had these CDs. Put my demo on there. I had a funky house demo, and then I had like a club remix demo as well, and just went around to every single bar, every single club, dropped off my CD and just hounded them, called, emailed. If I saw them in person, I'd bail them up and asked for a job.
So you were really proactive. Who was the first person to offer you a job there?
The first one to say yes was Ark, funnily enough. One of the owners there, we kind of clicked really well. When I was in London, I was working at Heaven, as I said, for the 2 years, and I'd said this in my emails and on the phone. And so he gave me a trial gig one Monday morning from the Monday morning set, if I remember correctly, started around 5 or 6 a.m. and went for 2 or 3 hours on a Monday after Sunday nights, which were really big at Ark. And I did my trial set and I was absolutely petrified. I've played for 4 hours. I'd written out the songs that I wanted to play, and I had written out about 2 hours worth of songs and the order that they were going to be played. And I literally looked up at the audience 2 times in that 4 hours. The first time was to check that they were still there, and then the second time, again, was to check that there were still people there. But I was so scared. Every time I'd mix a song, I'd turn around and I'd take calming breaths, almost like Lamar's. I'd be calm, pick the next song, it's okay.
Oh, wow. So, okay, help me understand, like, now if you were DJing, like, talk me through the process, because I would assume that you should be paying more attention to the audience.
Yeah, that's kind of the job description. Yeah, the DJ booth there downstairs at Ark was... it's kind of a little box with a window that's about 1 metre high, and it's a long window that looks out onto the dance floor. And you're kind of removed from the dance floor, even though it's right in front of you.
Oh, so it's COVID safe, though?
Yeah, very COVID safe. If they ever open again, it'll be, they won't need to change anything for COVID. The audience is there, right there, but you can do your thing and kind of be very separate from them.
And that's also good, because then people can't, like, bully you to play a song that they want.
Yeah.
You can't hear them.
Yeah.
So tell me more about DJing, because I'm one of those ignorant people who's like, well, what is it? You just like put a record on and then spin it and then put another record on. Tell me more about the art of it.
It's so weird because you're literally the majority of time playing other people's songs. It's almost like, I'd say it's most like being a stand-up comedian. You've got your set, you've got your jokes, but you test the water with your first few jokes in the first 5 minutes and see what the crowd's responding to. And you go, oh, okay, they like the dirty jokes, or, oh, no, they like the more cerebral jokes. And you plan the rest of your night, the rest of your set in that direction. And that's what it's like for DJing. You can watch the DJ who's playing before you and see which particular songs are working, and then keep heading in that direction and try and steer the dance floor in the direction that you want to go. But you can play the exact same set at exactly the same club on 2 different Saturdays, and it will have completely different response.
So do you plan your set now, or is it all just, I'm just going to vibe with the room?
Yeah, just vibe with the room. And now that everything's on USB, the way it's set up is you can have almost like iTunes where you have multiple playlists of different types of music. So I'll have a folder for all the new music I've gotten that week. And then I'll have folders for if I'm doing a background music set, just like chilled out house, and then big room bangers and funky house and heavy music. And you can just kind of dip into each folder depending on which night it is you're playing at.
And how often does it happen where you're like, I want to play this song, but I can't remember what it's called?
I don't know if I've had that happen, but I have had that happen with people coming up to ask for that song. As in, can you play that song that goes da 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 da? Do you know what it's called? No. Do you know who sings it? No. Is it a man or a woman? I don't know. Okay. I just normally would say yes, and then they come up half an hour later and give me the thumbs up, and I'm like, oh, okay, that was the song.
See, that's like one of my favorite things to do when people can't remember what the song's called and I have to try and figure it out with them. That's like the best puzzle.
True.
I feel like that should like replace Sudoku in the newspaper.
Yeah, almost like true crime, except for mystery songs.
But that whole thing when it's like, so is it a man or a woman? And they don't know. Like, it's like, well, how much attention are you paying?
And then it's exacerbated if their eyes are rolling back in their heads as well. That's it becomes there's an added challenge.
Yeah, like you came to me. Like
Yeah.
you came to me. Like, let's remember this.
This is your request, not mine.
So you did your first set, and it was 4 hours with a 2-hour set list. You somehow got through it. What happened from there? Were you booked and blessed from then on, or?
The owner of ARC, or the co-owner of ARC at the time, we took a real shine to each other and got on really, really well. And he could tell I was a new DJ and was encouraging me. So I got quite a few gigs at ARC. But about a month into working there, we were having a conversation and he started talking about my time at Heaven and what sort of music I was playing there and what type of nights I was DJing at there. And that's when I realised when I told him that I was working at Heaven, he thought I was DJing there, but I was working in the T-shirt shop selling T-shirts and CDs and Chopper Chops and gum. And I didn't correct him, but I didn't also lie and say that I was DJing, but I was just very evasive. And then...
So how do you evade a question like what kind of nights were you playing at?
Do you know what? It's so long ago, I can't remember. Can I use that as an answer? It was very... I just tried to steer the conversation into what was happening at ARC and the music that was going on there and what was working and what wasn't. So, yeah, kind of...
So you blagged your way in.
I blagged my way in accidentally, not on purpose, but when I found out what had happened, just rolled with it.
That's a good plan. It's good strategy.
Yeah. And then other venues flowed on from there. I think Stonewall was next. Then Manacle, which was the after hours across the road from ARC. And then Midnight Shift. And yeah, just kind of muscled my way in from side rooms, doing like an opening set in a side room or a closing set in a side room. And then over the years, working my way up.
And so what was special about DJing at ARC?
Oh, gosh. There's something about the sound system there. It's really loud, but it's a gentle sound, if that makes sense.
No.
So, well, you know when you go to a club and they've got like a tinny speaker and it's up way too loud and it's really grating. It's whatever that is, it's the opposite of that. It's like a warm hug.
So like you can feel it in your bones and it's this vibration of music.
Yeah. And there are certain spots downstairs as well, but particularly upstairs, there are a couple of sweet spots where you just stand and it's just the perfect spot for the music to surround you. And if you've had a couple of drinks and your favorite song comes on, it's heaven.
But not Heaven the nightclub, you just mean Heaven.
Not Heaven the nightclub. Yeah. Heaven with the pearly gates.
Okay, we've gone off. What else did we have to talk about?
I do remember when I first moved to Sydney and we were going out, we'd spend so long in ARC, it would stay open for 24 hours a day on the weekend. And
Oh my goodness.
you'd dance upstairs and then they would push everybody upstairs, clean downstairs, and then push everybody downstairs, clean upstairs, and then reopen upstairs. So the nightclub just stayed open the whole time and you just kept on dancing. Luckily, I lived across the road, so we could go home and shower and change, freshen up. But you'd see people there in the same outfit on the Monday that they were wearing on the Friday. And it's like, oh,
Wow.
might be time.
Have you ever done that? Just been in a club that long?
No. In the 2000s, I used to DJ everywhere. So it'd be like a Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, Saturday morning, Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. So I'd kind of be in all these clubs, but in between I'd go home and get 2 or 3 hours sleep, have a shower, change, and then go back to the club. So yeah, it was not possible for me to spend that long consecutively in
entire
nightclubs.
weekend.
Yeah.
That's like incredible.
Yeah.
And then those people would go to work, right?
Yeah. Monday morning, straight out of ARC. I called in sick from the foyer at ARC on Monday mornings. When I first moved to Sydney, I worked at Australia Post in the complaints department, and there were a lot of complaints. So they were always coming through. And Australia Post wasn't a career goal for me, so I was not that dedicated to the job.
Aww.
Yeah, I'd call in sick on Monday mornings from the foyer, even though in the background you could hear the music pumping. And I'd always say, oh, I got gastro, and then go back on the dance floor. But so many people would do that. Run out onto the street, call in sick, and then back on the dance floor again.
Oh, wow. So, ARC has closed very, very recently.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about it.
It closed down with a pandemic, like all the venues. And when everything opened at Easter time, it was going to be renovated and open. But then we had another lockdown that lasted 4 or 5 months. And then it was put up for sale quite publicly as well. And there was community outcry thinking, oh no, this club that we've had for over 20 years is going to be turned into apartments, which is what everything else in Sydney has been turned into.
But there's still some kind of mystery around ARC, right? Like there's not been any official statement.
Yeah, it was put up for sale. There was interest, and then we don't know anything after that. All we know is there hasn't been any announcement that it's been sold. So we don't know if it's still in negotiations or if it's not being sold or what's happening.
Ah, okay. So, so what was your reaction then when you found out that this was happening?
It's weird. It's a nightclub, but it's a safe space for all of us, and it has been a safe space for decades, and holds so many memories and so many treasured memories, I would say, for so many people and it is so rare as well. So to feel like we're losing that after losing all these other clubs and bars, it was just like, oh God, are we going to have anything left? Or is the gay scene going to shrivel up and die? Is it going to disappear?
But so what was your personal response?
I was shocked and didn't believe it. It was funny because the rumor that it was being sold came out, it was unsubstantiated, and then the venue actually knocked it back and said, no, we're not selling. And then a few months later, it was announced that it was up for sale. So it's this weird feeling of feeling like you're going to lose this big part of your history. And it's more than just a venue to me. It's a really special, magical place that has made, for me, dreams come true, but also made great friends there, great relationships, and I'm just one person of tens of thousands of people that would have that same feeling about this bar. I think Sydney is a bit like London, where a lot of people from regional areas flock to Sydney because that's where we find our tribe and our people. And when we're here, we all flock to Arc because it's the beacon.
Mm-hmm. And so what did that venue teach you about yourself?
What did it teach me about myself? I guess that work-wise and DJ-wise, it taught me everything I know about DJing, I would say. So how to go from DJing in a box with a pre-planned set and look up at the audience 2 times in 4 hours to now being able to walk into the DJ box and feel at home and feel like this is going to be a magical night and we're going to have so much fun together.
Do you have any memories of ARC or clubbing from your own queer scene that you want to share? Well, if you do, please get in touch. I want to create the biggest online record of people's memories and stories of queer clubbing. Go to lostspacesPodcast.com and find the section Share a Lost Space and tell me all about what you got up to. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as Lost Spaces Pod. Reach out and say hello. Follow Dan on Twitter and Instagram. His handle is DJ Dan Murphy on both platforms. Lost Spaces is not only a podcast, but a concept record as well. I have been writing songs about queer venues and the people who used to live their lives there, and will be releasing songs over the next year. You can hear the first single, which is called Well-Groomed Boys and is playing underneath my talking right now on all streaming platforms. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate if you subscribed, left a review on your podcast platform, or just told people who you think might be interested in giving it a little listen to. I am Kay Anderson, and you have been listening to Lost Spaces.